Petroglyph sites. Before you see a number of ancient Native American petroglyphs. The first one you're looking at represents the spirit of a shaman or a medicine man. Notice the two horns coming from the face. The horns in Native American shamanism represent the office of a shaman or a healer, one who is attuned to the energies and forces of the universe. Also notice the hands or feet below the face. This represents or symbolizes the bird spirit, the spirit in flight taking the shamanic journey. The other petroglyphs represent. This petroglyph symbolizes the power of the bird, possibly a crane or a thunderbird symbol, both of which were sacred spiritual powers in Native American mythology and cosmology. These petroglyphs represent different spiritual powers in the Native American universe. The first petroglyph represents possibly the power of the bear, a powerful medicine animal to both Eastern Woodlands historical Indians as well as to the ancient mound builder tribes. Below the bear you see the power of the lightning or thunder with the zigzag line and the arrow symbol. This represents the cosmic force, the cosmic energy of Gitche Manitou or the Great Spirit. And below that are other petroglyphs combining bird and human symbolism, possibly representing again shamanic flight or shamanic journeying. This place is on a sacred rock, powerful with the energy of the earth. This was a sacred place for ancient shamanic and medicine ceremonies related to totem animals, to shamanic journeying, the spirit flight, and possibly to hunting and fertility magic. The petroglyphic footprints that you see here are very similar to the natural footprints of the bear. The bear and a particular spirit force called bear paw in certain Native American medicine societies represented the male or masculine spiritual powers of the universe and the earth.
This is a description here of the Mississippi River Valley, in which the Cahokia culture flourished, showing the dependence of the entire system on these riverways for trade, agriculture, the works. An earlier scene here of a mammoth hunt. These would have been the predecessors to the Cahokies. The mammoth would have been long extinct by the time the Cahokia civilization flourished in around 1300 AD. Here we have atlatls and tools used by the Cahokia, sacred figures. Now these figures would have been figures of ancestors or gods, etc. These would have been held very sacred by these people and would have been in shrines. Most of these figures you see here were taken from tombs.
Most of the excavation that was
Here we have an archaeologist talking on the Cahokia Mounds.
There's going to be an excavation this summer by Dr. Fowler. He's with the University of Wisconsin from Milwaukee, and they're going to dig. He's had several diggings here, but every year that he's been here, the last few years, it's rained a lot and he's flooded out. But it's going to be back here by Mound 72. There's 75 with the state owning 65 of those mounds. Most of the mounds have been impacted mainly by plowing, because most of this ground has been plowed for over 100 years by modern equipment. Then naturally erosion has taken place. You can't see it from here, but when you go out of this area and you go across the highway, you'll see the stockade. And that was a stockade that went around the site. It was about 2 to 2.5 miles around the site. They first found its location from aerial photographs that were taken in the 1920s. And by looking at those aerial photographs, they could see that there was a slight indentation in the earth and also the discoloration. Upon digging there, they had found that there had been some type of a stockade. And every 70 feet exactly, there are bastions, or guard towers. And they have put up a small section in the post holes that were originally dug about 1,000 years ago. Why they built the stockade, they're not really sure. They have two theories. One, that it was a social barrier. The upper class people lived within the wall, the lower class people lived on the outside of the wall. And the other theory was that it was for defense, but there's no indication whatsoever that there's been any type of warfare here. But because of the bastions, the original were very, very small. The second building of the bastion, which is almost like a large room that you can go in over there, is very large. And then of the last two buildings of the wall, the bastions got much smaller and their backs were open.
Here we see Cahokia commerce and life as it would have been there in the 1300s when the Cahokia Mississippian culture flourished. If you'll see there, you'll see a hoe. Agriculture was the main staple of this economy. Corn agriculture and other types of agriculture flourished, and these were some of the earliest farmers in the Americas. Corn came up from Mexico in the 1200s to 1300s, somewhere around in there, along with the bow and arrow. We see the type of houses that the Cahokia village would have been here, a sacred pipe. Now, tobacco was very sacred to them, and the use of the pipes, the different pipes, every one of them, families owned them. Here we see some more ceremonial art. Ceremonial life was the most important aspect of this culture. This is the unity bonds. It's believed, here we see the social stratification. Also, this culture, the Mississippian in particular, was very socially stratified. Each person knew their role and each person knew where they belonged in their families. This is supposed to be some type of a head. It was used as a pot. It may have been a sacrificial victim. Here we have different types of paint and art that would have been, body art was extremely important in reflection of one's status. Here we have the main temple on the monk's mound of the Cahokia civilization. This is where the great sun would have resided. This was about a mile and a half from the Mississippi River, the great sun there. This would have been the chief and his cohorts. Once again, very socially stratified. It is believed that this was a family group here that was a ruling class. And but there was some ways in for like the commoners to get into these families. As a matter of fact, there was a practice where the great son would marry a commoner. Once again, the pipes. This is one of the games that kept them in practice for warfare. A chung key, they would throw the spears at these little rolling balls here. It was a game, but it was also practice for warfare, and warfare was definitely a part of the Mississippian culture, as you'll see. Flint chipping was down to an art at this point. All types of flints for tools, weapons, and used as trade items also. And the highly skilled artisans resided in a lot of these towns and added to the prestige of these towns. You see all the types of jewelry. Once again, the great sun, the big ruler there. If you note the cross on there, and that was later a symbol of the Plains Indians too, and it's believed that the Plains Indians are related to the Mississippian culture. When the Mississippian culture broke down in the 1300s and 1400s, a lot of their practices of the Mississippian culture were used by a lot of the Plains Indians today. That's why they know that these cultures are so related, because their symbology, the sacredness of the pipe, the religion, the Great Spirit, all of them are one. The Great Spirit and with his warriors and family. It's not believed that these people were really warlike, but they would defend their territory from infractions of other tribes, etc. Now here we have the controversial Mound 72. This is what they call the dark side of Mississippian culture, where they found human sacrifice, evidence of human sacrifice. And there was also head hunting going on at this time. A little later on, the tape will offer some insight into why this head hunting may have been related to, they may have been related to some of the head hunting practices in New Zealand, things like that, but we can never be sure, and it's speculation because there was no real written records left by this culture. This was a chief there, a great son, and he was found in a tomb, and this is like an artist's rendition of his burial. Now you can see the mica, the beads there, just literally thousands. He buried with these perfect arrowheads here. You can see the artisanship of them, you know, today, even though they've been buried for a couple hundred years. Chunky stones. This is how their burial was originally found. And we see the ancestor cults. Now, that is related to a family thing there. The ancestor cult, and that had something to do with the heads too. But what, I'm not really sure now. It shows the dependence of the people on the wildlife in this area. It was lots and lots of white-tailed deer, which was the main staple of their meat. Corn, once again, corn was the most important, corn and agriculture, but they supplemented it with white-tailed deer and any type of game animal, fish, abundant fish, fish traps set up all over the place. These people, this would have been a very, very active civilization with lots of hunting, gathering type activities, although mainly function on agriculture. Agriculture, providing a stable food source, allowed them this rich ceremonial life, and it must have been very fascinating with these pipes. You would have seen great sun and literally, hundreds of pipe smokers, tobacco filling the air with all kinds of herbs, and religious ceremonies going on all the time, because the religion was the most important facet of these people's life. And the reason we know this is because it means so much to the American Indian today. And these people were the ancestors of these same Indians. Once again, the conch shell, ceremonial drink there. These trade items here came from thousands of miles away, literally from the Gulf, and would have traveled upstream through the riverways, which would have been our equivalent of the superhighways. Everything is a worship of nature. Even their pottery, you can see the way that it's put together. It always has some type of an animal or symbol on there. Once again, symbology, very important to them. Animal heads, they're a lot of these people related to these animals and saw themselves as a part of it. Once again here, man splitting open a deer. No part of these animals was wasted. The deer was just considered to be the equivalent of their cattle. They used every part of it, and they even had cults set up to worship the deer, so the deer would be plentiful, and so they wouldn't cause trauma to the spirit of the deer when they had to kill it for meat. Once again, women working the deer hides. There would have been this activity going on all the time. This museum here in particular creates a very energetic people that would have been active just in all facets, because Cahokia was as well a major commercial center, a trading center, where people would gather for ceremonial rites, social gatherings, family gatherings, and for trade. At certain times of the year, it's imagined that these areas would have been just bustling it more than at other times, particularly when the harvest came in, because we know the busk or the green corn ceremony was the main importance of the Mississippian culture. We know this because the French explorers left records that this busk, the green corn, was so important to this culture, because there were still remnants of the Mississippian culture left. So in September, when the corn ripens, and this culture would have been engaged in just a celebration to the gods, and it was people would spend large amounts of money, and just as a matter of fact, there are records in the Old West where a lot of this green corn ceremony was so important to these people that even some of their younger people that didn't have any money would actually commit crimes sometimes to get money to be in this and to show conspicuous wealth at this ceremony. This is how important that this was to them. Once again, you see the body art. These people lived such a ritualistic life that it just every aspect, something meant to them. Their face paint, who they were, their status, a vision from God, from the Great Spirit, how they wore their clothes, everything. And a lot of these people, from what we know from the records, did not have a real long life. Now, occasionally they will find one who is maybe in their 60s, but mainly these people were like 30 years old, 35 at the most when they died. So they knew their life was short. They tried to pack as much as they could into it in preparation for the next place. Once again, you can just see the symbolism of these people, the cross, the four winds. It had so many different meanings. Body art. The body was just too precious not to be decorated. It had to be decorated in celebration of life and sacredness to God. The animals that sustained man, the deer, primarily the white-tailed deer at this time, the main food source found in most of these rubbish sites. Also turkey and fish. Shows a slowdown here in the winter. There you have a fish net showing the sophistication of these people at trapping goods and fish, drying fish out. And all commerce going north, south, east, and west would probably have passed through Cahokia. It flourished for a couple hundred years and had many satellite civilizations, and then it just suddenly faded out. The archaeologists are not really sure why. They think maybe it might have had to do with the denuding of the timber and the game, population explosion, warfare, a solar problem where the climate changed and dried things up, floods. You know, no one knows for sure. Also, they're believing that other ceremonial centers farther west and other places replaced these, and these places just sort of fizzled out when people stopped going there. There's another theory too that is heard. How much there is to it, I'm not real sure, but they say that these areas may have faded out due to this horrible human sacrifice cult, where people were being sacrificed. You know, they were probably prisoners or outside tribes that were brought in, but anytime such action's taken, whatever it be, that people get a lot of resentment and want revenge back. So there may have been, despite the awesomeness and how grandiose this civilization looks, there may have been lurkers about just waiting for this civilization to fall. And I'm sure they took some of the good ceremonial practices from it. There was a lot to be gained from that, and they threw the other part out. Which would have been the sacrifice and the negative aspects of it, and just adapted their own. This shows the stockade here. Once again, the lady was explaining earlier why this stockade was built. It may have been a way of social stratification, where only the wealthy were allowed inside, and the relatives of the great sun. It also may have been defensive, because they may have been under attack. Here you see sections of this wall that are in the museum. The Stonehenge here. Now this calendar here was set up to give them an idea of when to plant the corn, and it was also important in their religious ceremonies of the rising and falling of the sun, because the sun to this culture was one of the most important aspects of the culture, the sun worship, because it was believed, well, in the Mayan culture, it is stated that the Mayans believed that the sun, they had to have ceremonies for the sun to come up every day, and if they didn't have these ceremonies, the sun might not come up and the earth could possibly end. And there is a relationship between these sun kingdoms. So there may have been a similar practice here. Here we see the dental problems caused by corn agriculture. You can always tell when agriculture came in with corn, because the teeth always seem to be more rotten because of the high content of sugar. Things haven't really changed that much here. An older and probably a lot wiser man in a bird costume. Traders up and down the river, bringing in their wares. A conch shell from the Gulf. Once again, this is an artist's rendition of how this civilization would have looked. And here's a sample of some of their music you might have heard. Simple little tunes of visions, 2 or 3 notes. Once again, this city smoke would have been everywhere from all the wood fires. And as a matter of fact, some of the early explorers said a common disease among a lot of these Indians was conjunctivitis, infection from the eyes from all the smoke in the air. Tattoos here showing the artwork, the body artwork. This was a important aspect of their life. Pottery, human form. To us today, they just look like figurines or whatever, but much like you'd see in a china shop. But actually, in reality, these figurines were not figurines at all. They were actual, had power to the American Indians of the Mississippian culture. They were worthy of being worshipped and so sacred that they were put in the burials. Now here's the famous Birdman tablet. Now this is one of the most famous archaeological pieces ever found, and it was found at Cahokia, and it's believed to have been a seal of some type. Now here we have the head culture here, whether it's just the priests or whether those actually represent people that have been beheaded. It's not real sure, but there is an aspect in where they have said that there was people beheaded and things like this at some of these sites, although it's not popular to talk about that today. Once again, the Birdman. Once again, a stamp. That was the reverse side of the Birdman tablet, the netting there. The reason I'm spending so much time on this is because the Birdman tablet is just such a find. Another artist's rendition of the way this place must have looked. Just so much going on here, such a rich culture. There they have games where they were playing like what would be the equivalent of lacrosse. Now this here shows the ponds around the area there where they would have had fish and things like that stocked. This is the Mound 72 where they found the massive burial. There, see, servants, they were sacrificial victims. Now I'm going to play a little video here that will give you another aspect of why this practice may have been in the culture, just showing some light on some 20th century. Once again, we see the Cahokia, the center mound, and its outlying districts. All these administrative.
You have just crossed a slight ditch next to a small ridge on the ground.
This indicates here the type of plants that the Indians would have been growing here at Cahokia. These are native plants. Purple prairie clover, different types of flowers, etc.
You arrived. No excavations have taken place at Fox Mound, but a large special Fox Mound. Both will be discussed in detail later.
These are outside views of the mound here on a walking tour showing the these mounds are spread out over a 2 or 3 mile area, very large platform mounds, meaning there were temples on top of these, and these would have been administrators, things like that. Once again, a very rich ceremonial life. And it's believed that some of these even stretched out even farther, but may have been leveled through agriculture.
A small ridgetop from 1971. About 2/3 of the mound
Showing a stockade, an outside stockade there.
burials found. For more details, see the concrete sign next to Mound 72.
That's the famous Mound 72,
Most of the burials,
where they found
ritual burials.
141 skeletons that had been sacrificed. This is the really controversial one here. 19 women on the top layer alone, burial pit. These believed to be sacrificial victims. 4 headless and handless men. This is very close to we know from the records of the Spanish and French explorers in Mexico and Louisiana territory that these people did this. Now, supposedly the Aztecs did it because they believed they had to sacrifice so many people or the sun would not shine or would not glow anymore, and they needed human blood to keep the sun going. Once again, these were probably outsiders. It's not believed that they some were from their family units, but a lot of them were outsiders. Not that this makes it any more justified.
Buried in Round Top Mound after a funeral ceremony took place in the central plaza. No excavations have occurred in Round Top Mound to confirm this, but excavations at other Mississippian Indian.
Once again, even more mounds here. This is over a 1
acres.
Borrow pit down there.
Dirt was
mile
dug with wood and stone tools from the borrow pit and carried by the Indians in basket loads of 50 to 60 pounds to
You
non-construction
can see how
sites.
these mounds were constructed
The
from
Indians
the
eventually converted the borrow
background
pit
there.
into a 6-foot deep lake. Over hundreds of years, erosion has partially refilled it with soil. The lake was drained during modern times and became overgrown. In the middle of the city where public gatherings, ceremonies, chunky games, and market activity would take place.
This would have
There
been the
no
main
trees or
plaza in
houses the
here.
plaza, but
At
large
one time,
public
this
buildings,
would have been just
ceremonial
bustling with
temples, and mounds
activity.
would border the plaza.
Games, like that guy said, games,
Proceed to Station E.
ceremonies,
Marks
commerce.
what's termed as the Central Plaza. There would have been no trees in this area. That's where all the ceremonies would have been performed. Right there's the twin mounds here and here. This is a burial mound. This is a platform mound here where ceremonies were performed before they were buried into the round mound there you saw. Now here's another platform mound here.
Mound 48.
Mound
where
48.
The priests had their church.
Yeah, priests had some chapels here. Lake rise right here. This is where the stockade wall was built. They built the earth up and then they put the wooden poles in. The stockade apparently. There's another view of the famous twin mounds. There's the one that had the charnel house on top, and there's the round.
Charnel houses
through
for
the
our
trees
burial
there.
ceremonies.
And you can see where it is in relation to the. This is the plaza here, and then
That's
this
the
is
main monk's mound, the
the
main
giant
mound.
monk's mound here. You see they faced each other across the plaza. In this area where I'm standing right now would have been ceremonies, would have been performed.
For almost 100 years. Moorhead found some well-made pottery and a few small pieces of copper.
Ceremonial mound here.
Mound 49 to the north is an east-west ridge-top mound. The center of the plaza indicates it had some special significance. Due to the similarity in size and shape to Mound 72, Mound 49
This is an
may also have
archaeologist's
ceremonial
dream here.
burial.
These mounds, some of these have never even been opened, so they're not really sure
This is Mound
what they may
55 right
find in
here.
some of these.
And this
Some
is
of them
the
were
directional mound
torn
marking
apart by
where the
amateurs.
city began. See, it's platform type.
Erosion, construction of a subdivision,
Mound 55.
and the removal of soil reduced these mounds to low hills. Recently, they have been reconstructed to approximate their original shape. Excavations of Mound 55 indicated that several ceremonial buildings were constructed here by the Indians prior to the construction of the mound. One structure being cross-shaped. Mound 54 was a conical mound, never excavated. Mound 51 was an oblong flat-top mound about 20 feet high.
Straight up.
Test excavations before its
51.
removal showed at least 2 construction stages. Below Mound 51, and predating it, had been a borrow plot. It was rebuilt 3 times in the same location.
This is the famous monk's mound.
Inside the wall, a mile. Present.
Now we're going to the top of the monk's mound, show you what the priest's view would have been. Once again, the monk's mound is the highest point on this civilization here, this particular area. This shows a stockade that would have been of the type constructed around this area. Once again, these were sacred enclosures, so they would have been, if not fortified, they would have been
Perhaps other exact
2 miles
very
long in circumference.
made up so you knew where you were.
archaeological
Because once again, this was a type of society where each person knew where they belonged and who they were. But the problem is, it may have been a little bit rigid too. And people always will resent something being real rigid where they feel they don't have an opportunity for advancement or whatever. And I'm sure the Indians didn't feel a whole lot different than we do today about things like that. We know that from their records, that they were very conscious of social status and justice and fairness.
And grass.
This is a section of the wall.
Put on the wooden
Fortress.
stockade.
There would have been guards up in those towers
the
there.
city here, it's Cahokia, of the bastion. There would have been guards probably up there on top there watching over. And this, once again, it would have been plastered with mud daub. And here's the entrance to it. There you see the famous monk's mound in the background. Here you see the inside, and there's representative of the mud daub. This is another bastion inside another bastion.
Of artifacts to the north of these mounds indicated the location of residential areas, while to the south, between Mound 36 and Mound 51, from here you
more
get a
the
good view
plaza.
of the east side of Monk's Mound, which is over 1,000 feet long.
Monk's Mound, 1,000 feet
Near the
long.
bottom are the result of ancient and modern erosion.
This is the famous Monk's Mound here.
The largest prehistoric earthen
Base
structure
of
in the
Monk's
world.
Mound.
Its base covers over 15 acres, and it rises in 4 terraces to a height of 100 feet. At the front of Monk's Mound is the south ramp. Archaeologists discovered indentations in the ramp, indicating that the Indians had placed log steps on the ramp and held them in place with wooden pegs. Modern stairs are now built in the same location, so that you may climb. Notice that the southwest end is a little higher. Excavations on that corner revealed that a sequence of several large buildings had been built by the Indians and burned. Then a small platform mound was built with a building on top. This small mound was enlarged 8 or 9 times with a new building on each new surface. This corner of the first terrace was also used against
Once again, the archaeologist has remarked there that
That
a lot of
the
times they
stairs
would
here at the Monk's
burn
Mound. That's the top
ceremonial
right there.
once
Terrace
a
is down there, it
village
overlooks
or
the
once a
plaza there.
platform
There's the
mound,
plaza.
the temple had achieved its purpose
There
or
would
its
have been no trees,
sacredness
no
had
houses, nothing there at the time. This
expired.
was
They would
active.
burn that down and build another one. These people very
Go to the sign.
ceremonially
There are the two
sophisticated.
Past the base of Monk's Mound.
twin mounds, the
You get a
famous
good
twin
view of the
mounds.
central plaza. It was a large open
Central
area
plaza.
bordered by rows of
This is the
mounds
area
on the
from where the
east and
priests
west
would have
where the
ruled,
twin mounds to the
the
south.
priests and their
And
attendants.
over here we have Woodhenge.
Probably stood on the spot to view the surrounding city. Brought you fancy
There we see
Woodhenge
where
over
the
there.
calendar Woodhenge was, where they would
They
have performed
used the river-
ceremonies
this is
as
the river
well
here, the
as
Illinois River.
that was their
They
calendar.
used for getting around. That's why this was called the Illinois Confederacy. Later on,
Station
after
G,
the
you can see the second terrace
The
below.
Illinois River over
It's
there,
irregular in shape.
which runs right into the Mississippi River.
Been an incompleted
this is the
construction
top of the
stage
mound,
inside of
Monk's Mound.
There you see the city of St. Louis with the golden arch there showing. This shows how
There's the
close
arch, St. Louis.
this was to the Mississippi River and present-day civilization of, or present-day city of St. Louis.
A very large tall post stood in the enclosed courtyard in front of the building, probably the symbolic center of the city and link between the earth and sky.
Yeah, you know,
Cahokia Creek,
top of the mound.
Cahokia Creek.
We're on the top of the mound right now,
That's a river there.
overlooking what the priests would have seen. Now, they said there would have been probably more water around this area because some of this area had been drained at this time, the year we saw it because of the flood control. So there would have been a lot more water there, and this area would have been subject to flooding, which may have been another one of the reasons for these mounds
Yeah.
being so high up, to protect them from flooding. This would protect their ceremonial centers from the floods. Woodhenge here, which is, once again, I've said a couple times, it's a calendar, but it's more than a calendar.
This 1985 reconstruction of Woodhenge was erected in the exact location of the original, which was built around 1000 AD. The principal purpose of Woodhenge is a sun calendar used to determine when the seasons changed and when to make preparations for planting, harvesting, and holding annual events. Because the sun appears
First day of spring, two notches on the post.
may have been intentional since the principal leader, who lived on Monk's Mound, was considered related to the sun. Only just an arc of 9 posts align when the sun rises. The other posts of the circle probably outline his.
I mean, if you want to come away for dinner.
I've returned back to the museum because this is such a fascinating thing, walking over the grounds where this occurred, and then to actually see these pictures here of how this civilization flourished. Chert, that's a type of flint, like the things are made out of flint and chert, or the main stones used for tools, things like that. They broke a lot of these into like plows for corn, and they use shells as well. Once again, one of the gods that would have been worshipped here or held in family shrines at these sites. These were, once again, here we have hunters acted with spiritual conviction. You can slow that down and look at that, but this may offer some insight into the Mississippian practice of head hunting. This has to do with New Guinean style head hunting, but it's very similar, related magic and power associated with this type of activity, this gruesome activity, I may add. Bone daggers. Once again, we have the religious figure there. That would have been a highly potent spiritual figure. These are not just figurines, as you know we often see them as. They were totems. They had power. We had for carrying the heads here. Once again, the New Guinea is in Indonesia somewhere. Man catcher. Very similar to the Mississippian practice. From the pictures, we see them prisoners bound and taken into captivity, and then executed, heads put on display. There we have a trophy rack, and the early explorers recorded these trophy racks, seeing human heads put on there in regard to the Mississippian and the Aztecs. Specific head knives. Once again, it's left to the viewer to use his discretion whether this has anything to do with the Mississippian practice or not. Hornbills are a rare bird now, an endangered species, and they made headdresses out of the beaks of them. They attained supernatural power by taking a head. Once again, the close up here of these knives. This is a warrior society, has a lot to do with the way the Mississippians. Here we have the Sundance. Now, this is a Plains Indian practice that they believe was related to the Mississippian culture. They believe that this was learned from the Mississippians. You can see them all standing. A lot of the Plains Indian practices were here we have a shaman, or Indian holy man. This is the type of, even though this is a Plains Indian, this is the type of person you would have seen at a Cahokia Indian ceremony. Their religion and the way they dress, their closeness to nature, and you'll see some of the markings on the face, the tattooing. Here we have the great chief being taken by his retainers there, who carry him everywhere. There, notice the corn in the background, the importance of the corn, and his the thing he's in there is made out of corn leaves. So, you know, showing the importance of this agricultural Mississippian house. Once again, highly stratified society, showing, you know, each person knew his place. There he is there, the great sun. Now, this is another Mississippian practice that was practiced by the Cherokee and other Plains-type Indians. It's a busk ceremony, the green corn, and you can see them lighting the logs there. They're offering the corn. Now, that was a sacred fire there. In the the cross there means the, the eternal flame, the eternal fire, points out the four cardinal points of the earth. It was important to offer the new corn to the gods to appease them, to ensure a good harvest. This is a ceremony that would have been in a Mississippian site as well. Now we'll have some more Mississippian music. It's just representative of the type of things you would see in the ceremonial complexity of these sites here. Another Indian holy man. There would have been all types of ceremonies going on here all the time at Cahokia. Even though these are Plains Indian figures, these are still representative of the type of holy man. If you would have walked in the plaza in 1300, the great mounds, there you would have seen these figures. There you go, the morning star, the cross, the holy cross, the birds, note the birds, the dress, the visions, the holiness. Hypnotic trances there, it says one of them they would, and here once again the pipes, the sacred pipes, that there would have been literally probably thousands and thousands of pipes there for ceremonies. Once again, now we hear some Indian talking in the background. At Cahokia you would have heard similar chanting, similar type artifacts and everything. Even though once again these are Plains Indians, but the Plains Indians are definitely related to the Mississippian culture and probably brought a lot of their culture in there that the Mississippians picked up as well as traded. The Mississippians may have given the Plains Indians some of their cultures. It's again the holy man. Now this shows a cabin here, which is a slightly later period, showing Cherokees here, Cherokee activities. Once again, they are also related to the Mississippian culture.
I love to watch them on video. They're so cool. I love the.
Really expensive?
Yeah, it's a high.
Here we have a great buffalo hunt. Once again, a Plains Indian. It's believed that buffalo furs are a major trade commodity at the Cahokia Indian site. They bring buffalo in there. Although they didn't have the horse at this time, they were just beginning to get the horse. And they believe that the horse coming in also put an end to the war of the Mississippian site, because they were able to use these horses and go out farther and farther into the plains, and then they never returned for the ceremonies. Once again, you have the Sundance, which a lot of archaeologists say is related to the Mississippian culture and was practiced in that great plaza there you saw video of back there. We leave now with the busk ceremony, the green corn, as it must have been performed over 800 years ago. In closing here, we have some of the artifacts here from the Pawnee camp. Now the Pawnee were related to the Mississippian culture, and it's imagined that a lot of the the homes and the customs of the Pawnee very closely resembled the Mississippian culture. They have ropes here for possibly binding captives, whatever, or horses at this time. The Pawnee lived in earth lodges. We'll see some of their ceremonies. Now, whether these people, okay, here we have the souls of warriors, showing how their religious, when you died, where you went to. Now, it's true that the Pawnee are related to the Mississippi, and this would have been had a lot to do with the ceremonialism at Cahokia. This involves a sacrifice of a virgin. So we see here a sacrifice, although they weren't sacrificed in large numbers as they were at Cahokia. So this may have been somewhat a toned down version of what may have occurred at Cahokia. Here we have the ceremony itself, the sacrifice. They're going to be shooting the woman with arrows here in a sacrifice. Now this was recorded by explorers and went on into the 1800s, early 1800s, when the last episode of this type behavior was recorded. Eventually it was abandoned. We have a Pawnee earth lodge here with the sacred pipe. Once again, these pipes were guarded very closely. I said earlier in the video that anybody would have been allowed to smoke these, and it's true, but certain pipes were guarded by the shaman and had magical power, so that your common people would not have been allowed to have anything to do with these pipes. And they were probably only brought out on certain occasions. There you have the cross, a Mississippian symbol, the eternal fire. Now this is a Pawnee ceremonial lodge, which may have looked like the inside of what one of the temples at Cahokia may have looked like. Here we have a shaman. He has some kind of a bird in his hand coming out of the lodge. This may have been an individual vision, or it also may have been some kind of a community thing. We don't really know for sure. But this incident here and the way the ceremony was conducted was recorded, and this is an incident of the type of ceremonies that would have been going on at Cahokia. Now, whether the Cahokia would have approved, whether the hierarchy of the Cahokian civilization would have approved of this ceremony, it's not known for sure. I'm sure that they very ritually, very closely guarded their own ceremonies, and who could perform them and such. So this may have been a watered down version of a larger Mississippian ceremony, or it may have been one even improvised or made by these people here. There were various nations, Indian nations, that traded at Cahokia, and they may have, I'm sure they, as I said earlier in the tape, they probably picked up some of their customs and ceremonies from the Cahokies, and they probably gave the Cahokies some as well. Here's a Pawnee Earth Lodge there, an actual reconstruction of an Earth Lodge. The Pawnee became Plains Indians, and they were buffalo hunters. And after the breakup of the Cahokia civilizations, the nations went, there were no large population centers as Cahokia. Cahokia at one time had 35,000. It's estimated even higher there. So after that, they broke up in smaller groups. There's an Osage. Now the civilization of Cahokia would have had all kinds of brightly colored feathers and brightly colored cloths that they made, trade items, Indian music as we played in the video. Once again, their ceremonial life was very rich and closely guarded from the records. Here, once again, we have this ceremony here where the Virgin is sacrificed to the morning star. This is as close to human sacrifice as it what was recorded by our explorers. Sacred corn. Agriculture also allowed these people to move farther and farther from the population centers, because now they could grow their own food, so they could branch farther and farther out in smaller groups, and they could also hunt out there. And this is one of the reasons that Cahokia too was the advent of corn agriculture allowed people to move farther and farther out and plant their own crops. And they just didn't come back for trading or whatever. They traded with groups that were already way out there. This video also just shows you the different styles of clothing the different tribes wore, each according to their own manners and customs. But all of them reflect their respect for nature and for their religion and culture.
Welcome to this introductory videotape on the teachings of the Mayan and Toltec mudras, or hand positions for channeling energy, for healing and spiritual growth. I'm Reverend Randall Hastings of the Brotherhood of the Feathered Serpent. I welcome you to this information that was used in the ancient mystery schools of Mesoamerica. We're going today to go through 20 mudras or hand positions for channeling energy. Along with each hand position, I will explain how it can be used, its uses, and also various mantras or words of power, sound tones that will help you conduct and channel the energy more clearly. We're going to start with a general mudra that is used to channel life energy for many different uses. It's called the Chi hand mudra. This one is a very useful mudra to be used in meditation. To help gather and channel energy for self-healing, for deep meditation and trance work. This is a very common mudra that is used and was used in ancient times and still used by the Mayan and Toltec shamans of ancient Mexico. A sound tone that can be used with this to help channel life force is Lil, L-I-L, a Mayan word for life force. I'll give you an example of how to pronounce this. Each of these mantras should be toned in multiples of 3, 6, 9, 12 times to achieve the maximum usage of the sound energy current. The second mudra we're going to talk about today is called the blessing mudra. This is formed with the hands in front of the body, fingers pointing toward the heavens, and a gesture of blessing. This mudra is used to confer a blessing upon someone or something. Can be used most successfully with the ancient Mayan sun mantra, Kin, K-I-N, which means solar light of the Creator. Let me give you an example of how to tone this mantra with the mudra. The next mudra is called the completion mudra. It is used to represent the completion of a cycle or ritual. It is formed with the arms out from the body at solar plexus level, palms facing the sky, and is used with the Mayan mantra or word of power, Lahi, L-A-H-I. This is used at the ending of a ceremony or prayer that you might be doing. Lahi. Remember to do the words of power when you're doing the ceremony or meditation or prayer in multiples of 3, 6, 9 times, etc. The fourth mudra we're going to talk about is called the conjuration mudra. This mudra is formed with the arms out from the body at solar plexus level, with the palms upward with fingers curved. This mudra is meant to be used for conjuring or manifesting things in magical ceremony. It is used with the Mayan mantra Zak, which means to conjure or manifest. At the end of each Zak mantra, you may move the hands forward and out like this, releasing the energy collected, while visualizing whatever intent or use that you have for this energy. Let me demonstrate. Breathing in, gathering energy. Zak. 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 The next mudra we're going to cover is called the creation mudra. This mudra is used to create or give birth to a new energy during light work and ceremony. It is formed with the right hand raised up and the left hand turned to the left with fingers extended. The Mayan sun mantra Kin may be used with this mudra to create a new energy or a new pattern of energy. Mudra number 6 is a very powerful mudra. It is used to channel sunlight energy to heal someone or to bless them or to bless your land and your garden with fertility. This is called the deer mudra. The deer mudra and the deer energy in the Mayan and Toltec traditions is a very subtle healing energy that connects the energy of Grandfather Sun, the energy of the earth, and human energy. It is formed with the left hand above the side of the head indicating deer horns and the right hand facing outward. It is used with the Mayan mantra Kinichi, which means to heal from the energy of the sun. Let me show you how to tone this ancient Mayan mantra to heal from the sun. Kinichi. Kinichi. Deer energy in the Mayan tradition is very powerful. Again, it is a form of healing energy. Anyone who, by their birth totem in Native American astrology, who is born with the energy of the deer, has the ability to become a very powerful healer, a healer of people, of animals, and of the land. Mudra number 7 begins the first of several elemental power mudras designed to help you channel and connect with elemental powers of the universe, such as earth, air, fire, and water. The first is the Fire Fist Mudra. This mudra is formed with the left hand in a fist, palm downward. It is used to connect with and channel the universal elemental energy of fire. The mantra Kak, which in Mayan means fire, is used with this mudra. First of all, you release the energy, gather it with the palm like this. Think of the element of fire coming in from the universe into you and through you. And then release it by opening the palm, opening the hand. Visualize, connect with the fire energy, gather it in your left hand, and then release it with Kak. 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 The next mudra is called number 8, the Water Mudra. It is a right hand in a fist with the palm facing upward. It is used to channel the universal element of water. When the Fire Fist and Water Mudras are used together, they represent the union of opposites. You can use both mudras together with the Mayan mantra, Kahil Yotat, to balance the energy in a temple area or where you have your personal altar, or during house blessing and cleansing ceremonies. Kahil Yotat in Mayan means to balance and cleanse an area. The way this is done, Water Mudra, left hand with a fist and palm facing downward. Water Mudra in a fist but with the palm facing upward. Bring together the energies of fire and water. Visualize fire energy running down through your left arm and hand, gathering in your hand, and water energies flowing down through your right fist. And to release the energy and send it out for blessing and balancing, Kahil Yotat. Kahil Yotat. Kahil Yotat. Mudra number 9 is the Earth Mudra. This mudra is formed with the right hand facing toward the earth with the small finger extended, and the left hand facing away from the body to receive energy. This mudra is used in earth healings and renewal ceremonies and meditations, such as medicine wheel ceremonies. A word of power that may be used with this mudra is Chom, which is the Mayan version of the Om mantra from the Eastern traditions. Chom unites all the sound and light vibrations and grounds them within your mind and body and in the area that you're doing the energy work in. Let me give you an example of how this is toned. Chom. Chom. Mudra number 10 is called the Earth-Touching Mudra. This mudra is formed with the left hand upward, thumb and forefinger touching, and the right hand, palm down, facing or touching the earth. This mudra is used to ground your energy at the end of a ritual or healing session. Both balances and heals your individual energy. And again, it can be used with the Mayan Chom or universal and grounding mantra, like this. Chom. Chom. Mudra number 11 is known as the Kin Hand Mudra. This mudra is formed with both hands, palms upward to receive sun energy, and the thumb and forefingers on both hands together. It is to be used with the Kin Sun Mantra. It is also used to channel sun energy for your own spiritual development, to help balance your life force energy, and to help build what we call your immortal body of light. This can be done facing toward the morning sun for about a minute of early morning sun meditation, or you may close your eyes and visualize the sun ball of energy above you, and the energy coming down into your hands and into your crown chakra. Mudra number 12 is one that is often used in greeting and the beginnings and endings of ceremonies and prayers, especially in group ceremonies by the Mayans. It's called the Prayer and Reverence Mudra. This mudra is formed with the arms crossed over the heart solar plexus area. It is also used when in contemplative prayer or in ceremony to show self-respect and respect toward others. This is used with the Mayan mantra and sometimes a bowing motion towards other people in your group or your ceremony. En Lakesh, which means I am another you. When done at the ending of a prayer or ceremony, you might bow to the four directions, saying En Lakesh, or toward another person on either side of you in your group at the end of the prayer or ceremony, again bowing towards them and going En Lakesh. This is very similar to the ancient Hindu mantra, Namaste, which means I respect the light that is within both of us. Mudra number 13 is called the Protective Hand of Life Mudra. This mudra is used in your meditations to balance the energies of life and death within you. It can also be used in meditative shamanic journeying as you travel to what the Mayans call Xibalba, the underworld, which is not a hell world, but the world to which many souls go after the death of the physical body. This one is formed with the left hand facing forward, palm downward towards the earth, right hand to a fist with the thumb upward. This can be used with the Mayan word of power, Lil, which means life force, or to channel life force energy. Mudra number 14 is called the Release of Cosmic Energy Mudra. This mudra is formed with the left hand facing down toward the earth, small finger extended to release cosmic energy. The right hand is raised, palm upward, to receive cosmic energy. This mudra is used to channel galactic and star nation energies into the earth during earth renewal and star nation ceremonies. It is very useful when combined with the universal Mayan mantra of Chom to bring in all the sound and light energy currents and ground them into the earth where you're doing your ceremony. Chom. Mudra number 15 is called Bringing Down the Sun Mudra. This mudra is formed with the right hand, palm upward, to receive sun energy, and the left hand, thumb and forefinger together, to invoke the sun god. We use the Mayan sun god name Ahau, which means solar lord of light, with this mudra. This mudra and the accompanying mantra can be used to help materialize the Mayan solar lords of light, which are angelic beings of light who exist within the energy sphere of our sun in certain special rituals and prayers. Ahau. 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 Mudra number 16 is called the Morning Star Mudra. This mudra is used to channel the negative energies of anger that you may have, any energy, negative emotions, into the earth, where the Earth Mother can repolarize the energy and replaces the anger within yourself with love and peace. It is an emotional healing mudra for yourself. It is formed with the right hand closed with the forefinger pointing toward the earth. The left hand is closed, then open with a flicking action of the fingers designed to release negative energy. And it's good each time as you think of a negative emotion, such as anger, jealousy, envy. Visualize that emotion, take a deep breath in, then flick your fingers outward and exhale sharply. We'll release that negative energy emotion into the Earth Mother. The reason this is called the Morning Star Mudra is because it was taught to mystics and initiates in the ancient Mesoamerican mystery schools by the great feathered serpent teacher known as Quetzalcoatl, who was a great teacher and being of light that existed in ancient Mexico. Much of this knowledge that I share with you on this and other videotapes, seminars, comes from the mystery school teachings of the Brotherhood of the Feathered Serpent. Mudra number 17 is called the Sun in Hand Mudra. This mudra is formed with the arms and palms facing upward toward the sun and sky to receive the divine energy of the Creator as it comes from the center of the universe, center of the galaxy, through our sun and into ourselves. This is a good way to gather energy into your aura and into your body before you do any form of spiritual healing, such as Reiki therapy or the laying on of hands on other people or on your pets. It can be used with the Mayan kin mantra to help gather and focus the spiritual light of the sun. It can also be used in part of your daily solar meditations, best done at morning or at noon or at twilight. Mudra number 18 is called the portal opening mudra. It is formed with the hands in a type of triangle mudra. It is used to establish an energetic connection with a dimensional portal in a vortex area when doing ceremony to open or close them. This can be used with quite a number of the different Mayan words of power, but specifically Kin, the sun mantra, Lil, which is channeling life force energy, and Chom, the universal and grounding mantra. This portal opening mudra helps focus your energy for energy work when opening and closing dimensional portals between the realms, when doing ceremony and prayer at certain sacred sites on the land. Mudra number 19 is called the moon mudra. This mudra is meant to be used in full moon meditations and ceremonies for drawing down the energy of the moon and to anchor the sacred lunar energy into the earth. It's formed with the right hand outward, palm upward, facing the sky, left hand, palm facing forward. It is good to use the Mayan moon mantra, Zao, which means moon in Mayan, when you're doing full moon meditations using this mudra. Zao is pronounced and toned like this. Zao. Zao. Mudra number 20 is called the sacrifice mudra. It is a mudra that is to be used when releasing negative emotions or memories from yourself. It can be used to give up or sacrifice these lower aspects of yourself to the universe so that you can purify and transform the energies of your aura and your mind and body. This is also useful with the use of the Toltec recapitulation exercise, which I will demonstrate shortly. The sacrifice mudra is done like this. One hand above the other, doesn't really matter. Would you visualize any negative emotion or memory that you want to release? Visualize it clearly in your mind. Take a deep breath in, and then exhale, sending that negative energy to the universe where the energy can be transformed. If you wish, while doing this, you can also visualize a glowing white ball of light in the center of your chest. And as that glowing white ball slowly revolves, it brings into it all negative emotions or anything negative that you want to release. Do that visualization for a couple of minutes. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe out, release that ball of energy to the universe. Now, let me demonstrate for you very quickly what we call the Toltec recapitulation exercise. This is another exercise that can be used with the sacrifice mudra or without. It's designed to take back your power that you have given to other places, to other things or other people that have happened in your life in the past. You begin by getting in a comfortable place, either seated or lying down. Have a list of memories or people that you want to recapitulate or release from your life. Then you visualize. Say if you want to visualize a person that you no longer want to have an energy cord tie with. Close your eyes and you visualize that person in your mind. Then you take a deep breath and you move your head slowly to the right. Hold for a moment. Then move your head to the left and exhale. Then inhale and slowly move your head back to the right. Hold. Turn to the left and exhale. Then breathe in again, moving your head to the right. Hold, then come back to the center and exhale. And after having done this, what we call the sweeping breath technique, the movement of the head and the breath combined several times, you will cut any energy cord ties where other people or other memories may be using to drain energy from you, and you will be taking back your power, energy that you need for your own spiritual development and to build up the power of your aura. Remember that this basic recapitulation exercise can be done with and without the sacrifice mudra. Now in ending, let me just say a couple of words about the use of mudras and postures in the ancient Mayan and Toltec culture. The mudras that you have seen today, that I have shared with you in the words of power, are from the ancient Mayan and Toltec mystery schools. Many of these hand positions and the postures can be seen on Mayan and Toltec statuary in their temples. They were used to help channel various cosmic and spiritual energies during prayer and ceremony. Something that is also not too well known is that the complete system of Mayan and Toltec mudras for energy work and communication, of which there are 300 to 400 at a minimum, when they made their way up into the parts of North America with the tribal peoples up there, it became part of what we now know as the Indian Sign Language. Creek and Cherokee Indians of the Southeast, the Mound Builders of North America, the Southwestern peoples such as the Hopi, the Zuni, the Pueblo peoples, all used variations of these mudras during prayer and ceremony, as well as in their daily communications. This is tape 1 of the first 20, what I consider probably to be the most important 20 mudras to be used for prayer and ceremony. In the future, we plan to produce at least several others, detailing more uses of the mudras and other words of power. I thank you for spending time with us today. Go in peace, use these mudras and the associated words of power for your own spiritual growth and development, and for the healing of others and the healing of the earth. In Lakesh, I am another you. I am another you. You are another me. So be it. Thank you.
Yeah. I'll bet, man. Okay, ready? Where's that pipe at?
This a hyena or something. Yep.
Damn, it got worse, didn't it?
Just now, yeah. Flowing through though, like yesterday.
Darn sure should cut the tree down.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Thank you.
I don't know if we can get in that way or not.
I talked to a group yesterday, and they said that they just opened a pass yesterday in Yellowstone.
Yeah.
And, I wanted to try to go across the Bighorn,
Right.
because we have a rental car, so who cares if we go through? Because they said the road's real bumpy. They built construction on some of it.
But now, all the more mysterious. Washington, Jefferson, Roosevelt, Lincoln. My four favorites, except for FDR maybe.
Il terreno felice della caccia, lo da chercher
me get a shot of you with the tower in the background.
All right.
Give him the warning.
Yeah. Damn, they're all over the place out there, aren't they?
Self-guided tour takes 45 minutes. Reno's men faced westward as Indians began to encircle his new defense. Pressure from all directions convinced Reno this portion was untenable too, and he retreated after 30 minutes of action, and he came back up this way. Retreat! by Yeah, this is Calhoun Hill. 58 markers around here. A lot of guys like that. Yeah, west, southwest. Right. Tom Custer boy.
For breastworks and fought to the end. On the morning of June 27th, after the Sioux and Cheyenne had departed, General Terry's column arrived and hastily buried the soldiers where they had fallen. Looking out over the battlefield today, you will see white marble markers showing where the bodies of soldiers were found after the battle below and among the surrounding hills. Warrior casualties probably numbered between 30 and 40, in addition to several non-combatants killed in the village by stray bullets. A year later, the remains of the officers were taken for reinterment elsewhere. Custer was buried at West Point. In 1881, the granite memorial was placed atop the hill, and the remains of the soldiers were gathered from the field and placed in the mass grave at the base of the stone. This is hallowed ground. Men from two very different cultures died fighting for their beliefs. The Battle of the Little Bighorn was, at once, the greatest. Defeated 5 companies of the 7th U.S. Cavalry.
So they sent another company straight down in the deep ravine there. There's supposed to be 28 more markers down there.
Desperately until all were overwhelmed and killed. Today, the battle can be more accurately reconstructed using recovered artifacts by the placement of soldiers' bodies on the battlefield and accounts by Sioux and Cheyenne warriors. Evidence suggests that 3 of Custer's companies took positions on what is known as Nye Cartwright Ridge, 1 mile to your left. The other 2 companies continued.
Go ahead, tell the story here.
This is the story of the bear that came. Shoshone called it the Tiwanaku. Tiwanaku meaning the pinnacles. Last night we saw the floor short. This is going, man. Oh, man. This is good. There's no spew on this one. That's a good one. Where the wind's blowing it out. Blowing the steam away.
Hey, John, say hello. Any bear up there?
Huh?
Any bear up there?
There's 3 bear up there. We look at it.
I can't have you stop here alongside the roadway.
I just talked to them. He said 3 or 4 of us on it.
You have.
That's a beaver lodge, Doug. Over there's the dam to the left of it. See the dam?
Where? Wait.
The dam's to the left of it. That's the lodge right there.
You mean right there where the waterfalls is?
Yeah. That's the dam there.
There was.
Believe this?
I'm gonna get my.
Unreal.
Here's Doug running to get his lens, his camera. The cheese dick. There they are.
South Dakota and Wyoming right there. Prairie between the Black Hills and the Bighorn Mountains.